The registration desk at Princeton's Nassau Hall towers before me, a mahogany barrier between belonging and exile. Students in black robes stream past, their voices rising in celebration. I grip the invitation in my hand cream paper, gold embossing, addressed to Miss Lenora Caldwell in Aunt Catherine's precise handwriting. Not my mother's, never my mother's. Name? The woman behind the desk barely glances up from her computer. Lenora Caldwell, family of Cassidy Caldwell. Her fingers tap across the keyboard. A frown creases her forehead. I don't see you listed under the Caldwell family guests. My heart stutters, but I keep my voice steady. There must be some mistake. I'm her sister. One moment. She signals to her supervisor, a woman in a charcoal suit who approaches with clipboard in hand. They confer in low voices, shooting occasional glances my way. The supervisor returns with a blank badge. We can provide you with a general guest pass. She writes, guest in bold black letters, the marker squeaking against the plastic surface. Through the windows behind them, I catch a glimpse of my family gathering on the lawn. They're unmistakable in their coordinated outfits, mother in pearl gray, father in his traditional charcoal suit, Cassidy's in-laws in varying shades of silver. Each lapel sports the Caldwell family crest pin, a silver shield with interwoven C's. I glance down at my simple black dress, chosen carefully to blend in rather than stand out. No crest pin, no place at the family table. The ceremony begins with a procession of graduates. I find a seat near the back, watching Father stride to the podium for his speech as a distinguished alumni and benefactor. His voice carries across the gathering with practiced authority. Today marks a proud moment for the Caldwell legacy. Our daughter, the singular form cuts like a blade, represents the culmination of our family's dedication to excellence. As we move forward with values that reflect our true legacy, Mother turns in her seat, her gaze finding mine with surgical precision. A slight smile plays at the corners of her mouth before she faces forward again. Message received. I am not part of this true legacy. At the reception, I drift between clusters of celebrating families. A catering table catches my eye, specifically the elaborate centerpiece card that reads, "Congratulations to our only daughter, Cassidy." Oh, excuse me. My cousin Madison bumps into me, champagne sloshing in her glass. She blinks, registering my face. Wait, aren't you? Lenora? I thought you were with the catering staff. Her eyes drop to my bare lapel, devoid of the family crest. Simple mistake. I smile, the expression well practiced. Behind her, I catch sight of the professional photographer documenting every moment of the family's perfect day. My phone weighs heavy in my clutch. I slip it out, capturing my own quiet evidence, the only daughter card. The family photos where they've positioned themselves in a tight circle, no space left for others. The weight of grandmother Elisa's vintage watch presses against my wrist, its gentle ticking a reminder of different promises, different plans. The Rockport house should stay in the family, Lenora, she'd said, her green eyes so like my own, bright with purpose. I've made arrangements. You'll understand when the time comes. The time never came. Or perhaps it did, and they erased that too. A burst of laughter draws my attention. Near the gift table, Father speaks with one of the board members, their voices carrying just enough for me to catch fragments. Selling the Rockport property. Substantial seed money for Cassidy's startup. Finally putting that old place to good use. The watch ticks against my wrist, marking the moment when understanding crystallizes. They aren't just erasing me from the present. They're systematically dismantling every connection to my past, every promise of my future. Through the reception hall's windows, the setting sun paints Princeton's spires in shades of amber and shadow. I remain still, letting the familiar sensation of invisibility settle around my shoulders. But this time, it feels different. This time, I'm not just watching. I'm documenting. My phone fills with quiet evidence. The graduation program listing only one Caldwell daughter. The family photos deliberately arranged to leave no space for intrusion. The congratulatory cards and banners celebrating an only child. Let them think I'm accepting my erasure with characteristic grace. Let them believe their performance has achieved its goal. They've forgotten the most important lesson grandmother Elise taught me. Sometimes the quietest witness is the most dangerous of all. 2 days later, the family photos spread across my kitchen table in Boston, their edges worn from years of handling. In the center, A Christmas portrait from 2019 shows the Caldwell clan arranged before the marble fireplace. The original had captured me standing between Uncle Marcus and Aunt Sarah. Now that section appears mysteriously darker, the spacing unnatural. They didn't even bother with professional editing. I pick up last year's Foundation newsletter. My name vanished from the breast cancer initiative I spearheaded. The article credits board director Claudia Caldwell and her daughter Cassidy for the program that consumed 2 years of my life. The phone rings. Sarah McKinnon's name lights up my screamy oldest friend from Phillips Academy. "Lenora, tell me it's not true." Her voice trembles. "About the Rockport house." My fingers tighten around grandmother's watch. "What have you heard?" "The real estate listings just went live. Your parents are selling it to fund Cassidy's tech startup." A pause. "I thought, wasn't that supposed to be yours?" "Your grandmother always said." "Thank you for telling me." I keep my voice steady, though my hand shakes as I end the call. My laptop holds the answer. The same laptop I used during my years at the Caldwell Family Foundation before they quietly suggested I pursue other opportunities. They never revoked my system access. Sloppy. Just like the photo editing. The file directory opens to a familiar structure. Minutes, tax records, property deeds, and there a PDF from 3 months ago. Property transfer documentation for 247 Harborview Road, Rockport, Maine. My signature stretches across the bottom line. A signature I never made. The notary stamp bears cousin Savannah's name and license number. The same cousin who refused to meet my eyes at the graduation. The pieces click into place like the mechanism of grandmother's watch, precise, inevitable. A window minimized in the corner catches my attention. Years ago, I'd recorded grandmother's instructions about the property. "Just in case," she'd said with that knowing look. One click brings her voice through my speakers. "The Rockport house goes to Lenora. She's the only one who understands what it means beyond the market value. I've arranged everything." I needed to face them in person, so I went to meet my mother. Later that night, Mother's townhouse looms before me, red brick and federal architecture screaming old Boston money. The brass knocker lands with more force than intended. She opens the door in pearls, and a cardigan that probably costs more than my monthly rent. "Lenora." Her lips barely move. "This is unexpected. We need to talk about Rockport." The sitting room still smells of lemon furniture polish and old money. Mother perches on her favorite Queen Anne chair, ankles crossed. "If you're here about the sale, it's already in motion." I place the property transfer document on the coffee table. That's not my signature. "Don't be dramatic," she lifts her chin. "This isn't about you, Lenora. You just didn't fit the image we needed to present." The image. The word tastes bitter. Like editing me out of photos? Erasing my foundation work? "We cleaned up certain inconsistencies after your grandmother passed." She examines her manicure. "It's all legal now. There's nothing you can do." I just slam the door and return to my home. After a few dials, I was ready to meet the lawyer the next morning and went to sleep. The next morning, I found Thomas Harrington's law office moved to a smaller building in Cambridge, but his bow tie remains perfectly knotted. Retirement hasn't softened the sharp intelligence in his eyes. "I wondered when you'd come." He pulls a thick folder from his bottom drawer. "Your grandmother knew they'd try something like this. She made me keep copies of everything." The documents spread before us: property deeds, trust agreements, witness statements of intent. "All legally executed," he says, "all properly filed." His weathered hand covers mine. "Elise would want you to fight this, Lenora. She knew you would need to." We prepared for the fight in advance, and I went back to my home after everything was said and done. Back home, grandmother's watch ticks steadily against my wrist, a family heirloom that somehow escaped the purge. The brushed gold case feels heavier than usual. Something catches in the hinge. The case opens to reveal a hidden compartment. Inside, a folded paper holds grandmother's distinctive handwriting. "My dearest Lenora, if you're reading this, they've done exactly what I feared. But I left you more than just my watch. Safe deposit box 247 at First Maritime Bank, Rockport branch." The key is taped inside Great Expectations on the third shelf of the library. "They may try to erase you, but they can't erase the truth. All my love, Grandmother Elise." My fingers trace her signature. "They didn't just erase me," I whisper to the empty room. They erased her wishes, too. 2 days later, Jennifer Abrams' law office overlooks Boston Harbor, the water reflecting morning light across her polished desk. She studies the stack of documents I've assembled, her reading glasses perched low on her nose. Each paper represents a piece of my systematic erasure and my mounting resistance. Your documentation is meticulous. She taps a financial statement showing transfers from the Caldwell Family Trust. Most clients come to me with feelings. You came with evidence. The morning sun warms my grandmother's watch against my wrist. I learned from the best corporate lawyers money could buy. I just never thought I'd use those skills against my own family. Jennifer sorts the papers into precise piles. Forged documents, bank transfers, foundation records. Each stack grows like the years of deception they represent. My former colleagues from the Caldwell Foundation provided statements about my gradual removal from meetings, projects, historical records. The paper trail spans back to the week after Grandmother Elise's funeral. The original will from 2013. Jennifer holds up a document bearing my grandmother's firm signature. Your father's attorney claimed it was lost. Funny how retiring partners keep backup copies. A muscle twitches in my jaw. I force it to relax. Thomas Harrington knew something wasn't right. He kept everything. Speaking of everything, Jennifer slides a small brass key across her desk. The bank confirmed your grandmother's safe deposit box is still active. You're listed as a joint owner, something your family apparently overlooked. The key feels warm in my palm. My throat tightens, but I keep my voice steady. When can we access it? The bank opens at 9. At 11 that same morning, the safe deposit vault smells of metal and old paper. The book slides out with a whisper of steel on steel. Inside, I find grandmother's leather journal, its pages filled with her elegant script. My hands shake as I read her growing concerns about the family's plans, her determination to protect my inheritance. But it's the USB drive that stops my breath. Jennifer plugs it into her laptop, and grandmother's face fills the screen. She sits in her library at Rockport, sunlight streaming through the windows behind her. My dearest Lenora, her voice strong and clear. If you're watching this, they've done exactly what I feared, but you're stronger than their schemes. The truth doesn't shout it indoors. I press my fingertips against the cool surface of my watch, its steady ticking anchoring me as the video plays. Grandmother details her wishes, the legal arrangements, her hopes for the Foundation's ethical future. Each word builds the case we'll need. Back in Jennifer's office that day, I finally allow myself a moment. One tear slides down my cheek. I brush it away, straightening my spine. The question isn't if we'll win. Jennifer's voice holds quiet conviction. It's how we'll win. We could go public, media loves a family scandal. Or we could handle this through civil court. Clean, contained, strategic. The memory of the graduation ceremony flashes through my mind, that guest badge, my mother's smug glance, the careful crop of every family photo. They took such pains to erase me quietly. Let's use the same approach to restore what's mine. We spend weeks building the case. Every forged signature documented, every manipulated record preserved. The timeline emerges with brutal clarity, their systematic campaign to erase my existence from family history, property records, foundation archives. 6 weeks later, petition lands on the judge's desk with the weight of inevitability. My phone rings that evening. Father's name on the screen. Lenora. His voice holds that familiar boardroom smoothness. We should discuss reconciliation. Family means forgiveness, after all. Does it? I keep my tone neutral. Or does family mean protecting what's right? You're upset about some misunderstandings. We can fix this privately. Everything will be handled through proper channels now. Cassidy appears at my office 2 days later, designer handbag clutched like a shield. You're destroying Mother. She barely sleeps. Mother's sleeping habits stopped being my concern when she denied my existence. I continue sorting documents, not meeting her eyes. The Foundation's reputation will reflect its actions, nothing more, nothing less. The pressure builds. Anonymous emails questioning my professional reputation. Distant relatives calling with veiled warnings about family loyalty. Through it all, I maintain the same quiet response. All communication through legal channels. The preliminary hearing arrives on a bright autumn morning. I sit beside Jennifer in the small courtroom, watching my family file in with their battalion of attorneys. Mother's pearl strand gleams at her throat. Father adjusts his gold cufflinks. Their confidence falters as Jennifer begins presenting our evidence. The judge peers over his reading glasses, studying the documentation. His questions cut through the family's practiced explanations. Each piece of evidence lands with precision: the forged signatures, the altered records, the video testimony. The court finds sufficient cause to proceed with a full hearing. The judge's gavel punctuates his words. And given the evidence of financial impropriety, I'm ordering an immediate freeze on all contested assets pending resolution. Mother's face goes rigid. She catches my eye as we leave the courtroom, her voice a controlled hiss. You planned this all along. Waited until you could hurt us most. I meet her gaze, feeling the weight of my grandmother's watch against my wrist. Its steady ticking measures out my response. No, Mother. I waited until I could win. A week later, the mahogany doors of courtroom 312 whisper shut behind me. No cameras, no press, just the weight of truth about to shatter a family's carefully constructed facade. My heels click against the polished floor as I make my way to the plaintiff's table, where Jennifer Abrams arranges our evidence in precise stacks. Across the aisle, Mother and Father command their space like royalty holding court. Mother's pearl gray suit probably costs more than my monthly rent. Father adjusts his Windsor knot, the same nervous tell I remember from childhood fundraisers. Behind them, a phalanx of attorneys in $1,000 suits spread across two tables, legal pads and tablets at the ready. Jennifer touches my arm. Ready? I nod, running my fingers over grandmother's watch. The familiar texture of its worn leather band grounds me as the bailiff calls the court to order. Judge Marshall enters, her salt and pepper hair cropped close, reading glasses perched low on her nose as she reviews the preliminary documents. Estate of Elise Caldwell, petition to invalidate property transfer. Her gaze sweeps the room, lingering on the stark contrast between our single table and the family's legal armada. Miss Abrams, you may proceed. Jennifer rises, her weathered briefcase a stark contrast to the gleaming leather accessories across the aisle. Your Honor, we present clear evidence of document manipulation and forged signatures following Elise Caldwell's death. Exhibit A shows the original deed to the Rockport property. The projector hums to life. My signature appears on the screen, except I never signed it. The subtle shake in Cousin Savannah's shoulders catches my eye. She knows what's coming. Our forensics expert will demonstrate how this signature differs from Mrs. Prosen of Tom Caldwell's verified signatures from the same period. Jennifer's voice carries calm authority as she methodically builds our case. Exhibit B reveals metadata proving these documents were modified after Mrs. Elise Caldwell's death. Father's attorney jumps up. Objection, Your Honor. Speculation about dates of modification. Overruled. Judge Marshall peers at the technical analysis. Continue, Miss Abrams. Exhibits C and D land like precision strikes: bank records showing the property transfer timing, emails discussing the foundation's rebranding needs. Mother's spine stiffens with each revelation. Then comes Exhibit E. My throat tightens as Jennifer presses play on the audio recording. Father's voice fills the courtroom. We only use Cassidy's face in campaigns. Lenora doesn't project the brand we want. Mother's response: agreed. The foundation needs one clear image, one daughter, one legacy. The family's lead attorney surges forward. Your Honor, these recordings lack context. The context seems quite clear, Counselor. Judge Marshall's tone could freeze mercury. Let's hear from Mr. Caldwell himself. Father takes the stand, his usual commanding presence wavering under oath. Misunderstanding about my mother's wishes. We simply streamlined the foundation's public image while ensuring all beneficiaries were properly compensated. Did you consult Miss Lenora Caldwell about this compensation? We made what we felt were appropriate arrangements. Yes or no, Mr. Caldwell? A pause. No, Your Honor. Mother's testimony comes next, her words precise as scalpel cuts. Lenora has always been unstable, erratic. We acted to protect the foundation's interests. Mrs. Caldwell, can you provide any documentation of this alleged instability? Well, no, but... Moving on. Cousin Savannah falls apart on the stand, mascara tracking down her cheeks. They said it was just paperwork, just signatures. Nobody was supposed to get hurt. Who told you that, Miss Caldwell? Savannah's eyes dart to Mother. The silence speaks volumes. The family's attorney tries arguing statute of limitations. Judge Marshall's questions slice through their defense like tissue paper. Each evasion, each careful lie unravels under her scrutiny. The court finds clear evidence of document manipulation and breach of fiduciary duty. Judge Marshall's ruling rings with finality. The Rockport property transfer is hereby invalidated. Furthermore, I'm ordering a freeze on the Caldwell Family Trust pending a comprehensive audit. The absolute silence that follows feels like a held breath finally released. In the courthouse hallway, Mother corners me by the water fountain. "You waited to ruin us." Her whisper carries decades of venom. All this time, planning your little revenge. I meet her gaze, feeling the weight of grandmother's watch against my wrist. I waited so I wouldn't ruin myself. Her eyes widen. She recognizes the quiet strength grandmother tried to teach us all. The strength they tried to erase. I turn away from their huddled crisis conference where father gestures frantically at their attorneys. Jennifer falls into step beside me as we push through the heavy doors into afternoon sunlight. "Congratulations," she squeezes my shoulder. "You stood your ground." For the first time since this began, I smile. Really smile. Rockport's lighthouse rises in my mind, a beacon drawing me home to the legacy grandmother always intended. Not an inheritance of wealth, but of unwavering truth. The watch ticks steadily against my pulse as I descend the courthouse steps. Behind me, the Caldwell Empire faces its first real audit. Ahead lies the rocky Maine coast, and a house waiting to welcome its rightful owner home. That day later, the Washington Post reporter's business card sits on my desk, its corners pristine and white against the mahogany surface. 3 others just like it wait in my drawer, from the Times, the Globe, and a true crime podcast producer who promised to tell the real story of the Caldwell family's deception. My attorney Jennifer's voice crackles through the speakerphone. "You could do a lot of good by going public. Show other families they can't just erase inconvenient members." "No." I slide the card into the drawer with the others. "The story they want to tell isn't mine." "Your choice," Jennifer says. "But you should know your father's people have been calling. They're relieved you're not dragging the family name through the press." "Let them be relieved." The autumn breeze through my office window carries the scent of turning leaves. I didn't do this for headlines. The next day, the Rockport house key weighs heavy in my pocket as I drive up the coast. Trees flame scarlet and gold against a pewter sky, and the air tastes of salt when I step out of my car. The property stretches before me-weathered gray shingles, white trim, wide windows staring out at the Atlantic like patient eyes. My hand trembles, inserting the key. The lock turns with a solid click that echoes through 30 years of memories. Inside, the air hangs stale and cold. Moving boxes crowd the entryway, hastily packed with grandmother Elise's belongings. They'd planned to dispose of her treasures along with my claim to them. My fingers brush a cardboard flap. "Donation" scrawled across it in my mother's angular handwriting. The first box reveals grandmother's leather-bound poetry volumes. The second holds her collection of lighthouse paintings. In the third, I find her journals, their pages thick with her looping script. A slim book slides from between them, her favorite, Jane Eyre. A folded paper slips from its pages. "My dearest Lenora, if you're reading this, they've tried to write you out of our story. But you were always meant to be the keeper of this house and its heart. The others see only walls and wealth to wield. You see what I built this place to be: lighthouse for lost souls, a haven for truth-tellers. Stand your ground, my quiet warrior. All my love. Grandmother Elise." The letter joins her watch on my wrist, twin talismans of promises kept. My phone buzzes. Father's name glows on the screen. "The Foundation's quarterly meeting is next week," he says, without preamble. "Your presence would demonstrate family unity. The donors are unsettled by recent events. I'm not available for performance art. This continued hostility serves no one." His sigh carries decades of practiced disappointment. "We're prepared to discuss terms for your return to the family fold." There are no terms. Through the study window, waves crash against the shoreline. "I'm not interested in playing happy families for the donors. Your mother suggested lunch." His voice shifts, businessman negotiating a deal. "She feels you might be more comfortable meeting Cassidy first, discussing how to move forward." Forward. The word tastes bitter. Like when you moved forward with erasing me from the graduation, or when you moved forward with selling property that wasn't yours to sell. Silence stretches between us. The past can't be changed, Lenora, but we can control the narrative going forward. No, Father, you can't control my narrative anymore. I end the call and send the email to Jennifer briefly. Please inform the Caldwell family that all future communication should go through your office. I'm establishing clear boundaries, not seeking reconciliation. The donation of 20% of the Rockport property proceeds to the Ethics and Family Foundation's initiative will proceed as planned. Best. Lenora. The sun sets as I unpack grandmother's paintings. Each lighthouse finds its place on walls that have waited for their return. The Caldwell family crest above the mantel comes down last, replaced by her favorite piece, Portland headlight, standing proud against a storm, its beam cutting through darkness. In the kitchen, I find her recipe box. Simple index cards filled with instructions for clam chowder, blueberry cobbler, Sunday roast. The back of each card bears notes in her handwriting. Margaret loves this with extra time. Thomas takes seconds when I add more pepper. Lenora helps crimp the pie crust, just like her great-grandmother taught me. She documented our existence in 1,000 small ways. Every recipe, a record, every note, an affirmation. We were here, we mattered, we loved. I pin her letter to my bulletin board and begin unpacking my own boxes. Business cards printed with my new consulting practice name. Lighthouse Ethics Advisory. Brochures outlining my services helping family foundations maintain transparency and accountability. A framed article from the nonprofit quarterly highlighting my work with intergenerational wealth transfers. My phone buzzes again. A text from Cassidy. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I've been thinking about what you said in court. About how power doesn't have to mean pretense. Could we talk? Just us. The waves keep rolling in as I consider her words. Out on the water, a boat's running lights blink steady and sure, finding its way home through the dark. I think of grandmother's lighthouse paintings, beacons that guide without controlling the journey. My reply is simple. Coffee next week. Neutral ground. No parents, no performance. In my new office once grandmother's study, I open her journal to a blank page. My first entry in a new chapter. The house remembers who it was meant to shelter. Tonight, I begin the work of helping it remember how to light the way home. I will heal completely, and my family will start respecting me. 6 months later, the morning light streams through the windows of Rockport House, catching dust motes that dance above stacks of leather-bound books. I run my fingers along the spines, arranging the volumes exactly as grandmother Elise preferred them. Philosophy on the top shelf, history below, her treasured first editions of Jane Austen at eye level. The grandfather clock in the hall strikes 9, its deep resonance echoing through rooms that now breathe with life again. Fresh flower-spink peonies, grandmother's favorite, brighten the reading nook. My consulting firm's latest report on ethical governance in family foundations sits open on her old mahogany desk, post-it notes marking sections that would have made her smile. The vintage watch on my wrist catches the sunlight. I no longer hide it under long sleeves. No longer flinch when someone asks about its history. My grandmother's, I say now, letting the words ring with quiet pride. A knock at the door startles me from my routine. The postal carrier hands me a cream-colored envelope, handwriting I haven't seen in months. Cassidy's. My fingers trace the return address, a small apartment in Cambridge, not our parents' Beacon Hill townhouse. Inside, a single sheet of paper holds just 3 sentences. You were right. I'm sorry it took this to see it. Can we talk? The words blur before me. I sit in grandmother's old wing chair, letting memories of the graduation ceremony surface. Cassidy's determined ignorance of my presence. Her practiced smile as photographers captured the perfect family moment. But the handwriting trembles at the edges. No family crest on the envelope. No formal letterhead. Just words that cost her everything to write. I reach for my phone, type and delete responses for 20 minutes before settling on. Coffee at Lighthouse Cafe, Tuesday at 2, just us. That Tuesday, the cafe sits halfway between Boston and Rockport. Neutral territory with enough ambient noise to soften silences. Cassidy arrives 5 minutes early, wearing jeans and a simple sweater. No designer logos, no family pin. Her fingers worry the hem of her sleeve. The foundation's imploding, she says after her first sip of coffee. Dad fired 3 board members for questioning investment practices. Mom's rewriting the mission statement again, something about preserving traditional legacy through selective excellence. Her laugh holds no humor. I kept hearing your voice in every meeting. What about the actual impact? Who are we really serving? I let the silence stretch, watching her shoulders curve inward, so different from her usual camera-ready posture. I found the original grant proposals, she continues. The ones you wrote before they scrubbed your name. The domestic violence shelter we abandoned, it's closing next month. The scholarship program for first-generation college students, replaced with country club networking events. She swallows hard. They told me you left because you couldn't handle the pressure, that you were jealous of my natural leadership abilities. And now? Now I understand why you waited. Why you built your case so carefully. You weren't trying to destroy them. You were trying to save what mattered. Outside, autumn rain patters against windows. A barista calls out drink orders. Life continues its ordinary rhythm while tectonic plates shift beneath the surface of our shared history. I can't offer forgiveness on behalf of anyone else, I say finally. And I'm not interested in family reunions or holiday performances. I know. Cassidy's hands clench around her coffee cup. I'm not asking for that. I need to know how to live with truth once you've seen it. How to stop being their ventriloquist dummy without becoming bitter. I think of the educational foundation I've established in grandmother's name. 3 law students already receiving scholarships focused on elder advocacy and ethical estate planning. A symposium series on transforming family philanthropy. Small steps, building something new from the ashes of what burned. Start by choosing one truth to live, I tell her. Just one, the rest will follow. She nods, understanding the gift of simplified clarity. We talk for another hour about neutral things, books we've read, places we might travel. No mentions of parents or performance reviews or perfect family photos. When we leave, our hug holds neither promise nor rejection, just recognition. Back at Rockport, I host a small gathering for the Foundation's first scholarship recipients. Their eyes shine with plans for justice, for change, for better ways of wielding influence. In the library, I've hung a shadow box containing artifacts of transformation, the guest badge from Princeton. Grandmother's last handwritten note about legacy living in truth, not appearance. A photo of her at my age standing proud before these same windows. The sun sets over the water, painting the horizon in shades of possibility. From grandmother's favorite window seat, I watch gulls wheel against the darkening sky. Her watch ticks steadily against my wrist, marking time not in what was lost, but in what rises from honest ground. I've learned that forgiveness isn't always about letting someone back in. Sometimes it's about letting yourself walk out and never waiting at the door again. About building rooms of your own, with windows facing the sunrise and space for those who honor truth in all its uncomfortable glory. The Caldwell family crest no longer hangs above the mantel. In its place, an artist's rendering of the local lighthouse stands sentinelate, reaching across dark water, helping others find their way home. Home. Not to what was stolen, but to what we choose to build. Not to airbrushed family photos and practiced smiles, but to genuine connection and purposeful impact. To legacy measured not in names preserved on marble walls, but in lives transformed by truth lived out loud. The grandfather clock strikes 9, its resonance filling these rooms now alive with new purpose. Tomorrow, the Foundation reviews applications for next year's scholarships. 3 more students will learn to wield law like a lighthouse beam, illuminating safer harbors for those navigating troubled waters. I leave grandmother's books arranged exactly as she loved them: philosophy above, history below, Austen at eye level. But now they share shelf space with modern works on ethical philanthropy, social justice, and the quiet revolution of choosing truth over appearance. In the end, legacy lives not in what others write about us, but in what we dare to write ourselves. Not in rooms we're barred from entering, but in spaces we build with our own hands. Not in names etched on donor walls, but in changes that ripple outward, touching lives we may never see. The light fades, stars emerge. The lighthouse beam sweeps across dark water, steady as a heartbeat, bright as truth. Home.